You're all very welcome here this morning to the Trinity College School of Nursing for the launch of the SENSE report on the role and the impact of the epilepsy specialist nurse. And on behalf of Epilepsy Ireland and on behalf of the school here, I'm delighted to especially welcome the Minister for State at the Department of Health with responsibility for health promotion, Marcella Corcoran-Kennedy, who's kindly agreed to launch the study this morning after Minister Harris had to send his apologies. I suppose most of us in the room are very familiar with the condition of epilepsy, so I'm not going to go into any huge detail on that, but just by way of introduction, there's at least 37,000 people in Ireland living with epilepsy, which is about one in 115 people, and it makes epilepsy one of the most common of all neurological conditions. For most people, epilepsy can be controlled through medications or through advances in surgery and medical devices in recent years, but there's still about 10 to 15,000 people for whom epilepsy is not controlled, and it can be very complex and a very I suppose devastating condition for people living with the condition and their families. To achieve the best outcomes, it's absolutely necessary for early diagnosis and to have access to specialist care from I suppose a complete multidisciplinary team. I suppose back in 2001, when I first came into the area of I suppose neurological services or neurological charities, I think there were 14 consultant neurologists at the time in the country, and there was I suppose only a handful of epilepsy specialist nurses in either epilepsy or in neurology. I suppose many of them at the time were funded by charities like Epilepsy Ireland. By about 2008, the situation had only improved a small bit when we launched what we called at the time, and I managed to dig out a copy of it, our Epilepsy Manifesto. So that was in 2008, and it was launched by the Minister for Health at the time, Mary Harney. And one of the things that we called for in that obviously was greater investment in epilepsy service, and I suppose one of the key things we called for at the time was to invest in increasing the numbers of epilepsy nurses. Dr. Colin Doherty, who we'll hear from later, spoke at that event, as I said, which the Minister was at, and pleaded with the Minister, and I'm going to quote here, if you don't mind, Colin, give us a small investment, let us prove that we can save money on bed days. If we don't do it, and here's the brave part, you can have your money back. If we do save money, pass us on the savings and we can improve the situation further. So that was what was said back in 2008, and that plea didn't fall on deaf ears, thankfully, and soon after epilepsy was named as one of the conditions that would get its own national clinical care programme. And to date, the programme has been particularly successful in improving epilepsy care in Ireland, and central to that has been the recruitment of a whole new range of, or whole new cohort of, I think it's 16 or 16 and a half epilepsy nurses. And although I suppose epilepsy care, in all honesty, is still far from perfect, on the whole I think it has been one of the most positive health health service developments in recent years. Now, of course, saying that something is better than it was is one thing, but proving it is another thing entirely, and that's where Epilepsy Ireland came in a number of years back. Although our key role in Epilepsy Ireland is to support and to inform people with epilepsy and their families through our services and our network of offices around the country, we've also become really involved in recent years in supporting and funding Irish epilepsy research. And since 2010, we've invested almost €1 million in a broad range of projects, and much of it in partnership with the Health Research Board under the HRB MRCG Joint Funding Scheme. So the SENSE study that we're here today to launch was funded under this scheme back in 2012, and I suppose with its objectives of assessing the role, the impact and the cost effectiveness of epilepsy nurses, it has been over that time a study of real importance to both Epilepsy Ireland and of course to the wider epilepsy community as well. And I suppose after all, if you can show that your investment has succeeded on a number of different measures, it makes sense, if you pardon the pun, to seek further investment. So we're going to hear all about the role of the ESN and the study findings this morning, so I'm not going to go into any of that now, but I do want to say that I firmly believe that the SENSE study does establish a template for the future, not only in terms of epilepsy care, but potentially in a range of other chronic or neurological conditions as well. And just to say that the report is the third document I suppose, a forward-looking document launched in the last number of months, alongside the HSE's epilepsy model of care, and indeed our own Epilepsy Ireland strategic plan, which really lays down a pathway for epilepsy services in coming years. So today, almost 9 years after a nurse-led model was first mooted to the then Minister for Health, we're here today to launch the SENS report on the impact and the effectiveness of the ESN role. And I'm sure Dr. Doherty will be delighted to hear that we don't owe the government any money back after all. So with that, I'd like to invite the Minister to officially launch the SENS report. The Minister is, of course, no stranger to Epilepsy Ireland and to epilepsy. For many years, she's supported our services and our activities in her own county and constituency of Offaly, and only recently opened our new office down in Tullamore as well, and we had a good chat that day about epilepsy and various issues around the condition. So we're delighted that she has taken the time this morning, and I know she has to be in the Dáil for 10. So we're delighted that you've taken the time this morning to come and launch your report, and I'm delighted to welcome you now to say a few words, Minister. Thanks.